So it looks like a Denny's in Vancouver, British Columbia is in a little bit of hot water because like a week or so ago, this woman and her boyfriend, who are from the Yukon, an Aboriginal couple, came down to Vancouver, right, to visit and stuff. And after like a long night of partying, they decided to go to Denny's to have some food, right, at like 4:30 at night. And when they got there, they made their order, and before the food came to the table, the server came to them and said like, hey, we want you to pay for this food before you get it, right? And she made a big stink about this. She said that she asked everybody else, the patrons, she's like, hey, did any of you have to pay for this first? And everybody's like, no, we didn't have to. Like, we haven't paid yet, and they were eating, right? And, you know, a black guy came to her defense too, was saying like, this is racism. Apparently he was crying, but like this guy got his food served first too, right? He didn't have to pay as well. But now they're being called racist and all this shit. And I can understand why people think that they're racist because of this, but honestly, it's like, if you've just lived in some cities where there are a large number of Aboriginal people, I'm sorry to say, but a lot of them, like, I don't have full evidence of this, is more anecdotal, but a lot of them tend to do dine and dashes, or will not pay at the same rate as other groups will pay, right? So, you know, we all have eyes in society. We all see things, right? And we all notice group differences. So you notice like that Denny's, like they served the black guy and they served all the other people. There's probably some Asians and stuff in there too. They served them first. They didn't ask for their money. So it was directed towards the Aboriginal person. But why is that? It's just, she just has a random hate for Aboriginals. She just hates them for no reason, right? And I'm not saying they deserve to be hated or anything like that, but one of the reasons why she probably did this is because there is likely a higher chance that Aboriginal people are going to dine and dash, that they're not going to pay their bill. I'm sure she has encountered this many times before. So this is why she asked them, right? Because if you're running a business and you have, like, let's say you're Asian and you're running a business and you have out of 10 white people who come in, 8 of them don't pay their bills and they leave. Do you really want to keep serving these people as they come into your building, right? Because it will be a net loss for you. And if you keep serving these people, you're eventually going to lose your fucking business because you're giving away all your money. And this is one of the reasons why I'm against anti-discrimination laws. Like, she's bringing a suit to the Human BC Tribunal or whatever. Like, that's fucking bullshit, you know? I think there should be freedom of association in Canada. If you're not the government, all this shit, they should be able to discriminate, right? They should be able to. I know people are like, oh, it's so horrible, you're a terrible person. But it's like, you know what? In the free market, most businesses will not discriminate to begin with because they want money. They're not going to turn away half of their customers. But they should be able to do things like this because, you know, they need to fucking stay afloat. They need to run their business. And if they're forced by the government just to serve everybody like the same, then that's not going to work out for them. You know, these are how a lot of these crises start and stuff. You know, people assume, you know, we're all the same, and then they give us all the same treatment. They expect everybody to they expect every group to have the same results. And it's like, that is just not the case, right? So if Aboriginals are more likely to dine and dash, then it's not that white lady's fault, or I don't even know her race, right? It's not that person's fault or the Denny's fault. It's the Aboriginals that give her a bad name, right? So this is who she should be mad at. Not the racist Denny's and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they're just trying to stay afloat, right? They're not going to actively discriminate against their patrons unless there's a good fucking reason for it, right? Like, you know, unless there's a good reason. And this girl was from the Yukon, right? And throughout Canada, there are different populations of aboriginals that are a little different, right? Like in some places, they're doing really well, and they're doing really good for themselves. They're educated, all this stuff. But then in other places, not so much, right? So when an Aboriginal from that area comes over, from a good area where they're like, everybody pays their debts and all this shit there, and then they come to an area like Winnipeg or something, where the Aboriginals here, I'm sorry to say, are just a little bit different and are not the exact same. And then they see the way, the natives treat, or the white people and the immigrants treat Aboriginals. They're like, everybody here is a fucking racist. Well, it's like no, there are reasons why people have stereotypes of other people and react the way they do. So, this whole Denny's thing is bullshit. Like, apparently the cops were called on them too, and I think that's out of line. But then again, this is a he said, she said. There's no video evidence. We don't know if these people caused a massive scene and then they called the cops on them later, right? Because they caused a massive scene or something like that. We don't know. We're just kind of listening to her side of the story. But nonetheless, I think companies should be allowed to discriminate. Like, really, I think we should be allowed to discriminate. And these anti-discrimination laws are bullshit. They get abused. You fire somebody because they're a bad worker, and then they come back and say, hey, this person discriminated against me because of my skin color. And it's like, no, you're just a bad worker. But you need to, prove that much more now that you're not a racist and all this shit just to get rid of this one fucking guy, right? So enough of these stupid anti-discrimination laws, okay? People seem to think that if we take them all away, there's going to be a white ethno-state, and, no white people are going to sell to people of color because we're all racist fucks. It's that's not going to happen, okay? That's not going to happen. People will sell to each other because they like to make money. They don't care what the fuck your race or skin color is. But if they do notice certain patterns from a different race or culture or whatever, or a culture or religion, then they should be able to, modify their business to, deal with that problem. Because like I said, if 8 out of 10 white people come into your business and do not pay you, you should not be forced to serve all those white people, because only 2 out of those 10 are going to actually give you money. So it's, enough of these bullshit laws. Let's reduce the power of government, reduce the state, get as much government out of our lives as possible, and we will be better off. There'll be more businesses for people to work in. There won't be as much discrimination, right? There will be actually less. Because a lot of these laws, they think they're reducing discrimination, but it actually just increases it. Because then people get pissed off. They feel like they're forced to do something for somebody that maybe they don't feel like that person deserves it, etc. So it just creates more tension among people, and it's it just pisses people off even more and creates more of a divide between races. So, I think, like I've been saying the whole video, let's just remove these discrimination laws, and I think we'd all be a lot better off. But that's all I had to say. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.